All right, so getting ready for a weaving machine operator interview, that's awesome. And we've got a whole bunch of resources from RoleCatcher to help you really stand out. Career guides, interview prep, even some cool AI tools. So think of this deep dive as your secret weapon for going beyond just the, basics
Yeah.
and really understanding what those hiring managers are looking for. Ready to weave a winning interview strategy. Let's go.
I think it's so interesting to think about all the impact of weaving. It's not just clothes. It's like everything from the fabrics in our homes to the materials used in advanced technology.
Totally. And speaking of standing out, RoleCatcher's AI tools are designed to give you that extra edge. They can actually analyze job descriptions to figure out the specific skills that employers want to see. Can you imagine tailoring your resume and your answers to exactly what they're looking for? That's powerful stuff.
Absolutely. It takes the guesswork out of the prep and
Yeah.
allows you to really focus on your strengths in a way that resonates with the hiring manager.
Love that. Okay, so let's jump into some of those sample interview questions and kind of break down how to answer them like a pro. First up, picture this. The interviewer leans in and says, "Can you tell us about your experience operating weaving machines?" Now, I know you've got the experience, but how do you make your answer truly shine?
Yeah, this is your chance to go beyond just listing the places you've worked. Think about achievements. Achievements that really showcase your skills. Like, did you ever boost efficiency by tweaking a machine setting? Or maybe you mastered a particularly complex weaving technique?
Oh, I like that. So instead of just saying, "I operated looms," you can say,
Yeah.
I implemented a new threading method that reduced yarn waste by 15%, saving the company money and resources." It's about showing, not just telling.
Exactly. And remember, numbers speak volumes. So if you can quantify your impact with percentages, time saved, other measurable results, it really makes your experience come alive.
That's such a good point. The interviewer might follow up with something like, "What type of weaving machines are you most familiar with?" Seems like a simple question. But what's the strategy here?
Don't just say, "Oh, I know looms." This is an opportunity to showcase your technical knowledge. Mention specific types like rapier looms, air jet looms, jacquard looms,
Yeah.
especially if they're mentioned in the job description.
It shows you've done your homework and you're genuinely interested in the specific technologies they use. All right, let's say the interviewer asks, "How do you ensure the quality of the woven fabric meets the required specifications?" What comes to mind when you hear that question?
Attention to detail is key. You need to walk them through your process for quality control. So think about how you check yarn tension, inspect the fabric for flaws, and use measuring tools to guarantee consistency.
This is where you can really demonstrate your commitment to quality. Remember that time that you noticed a subtle inconsistency in the weave that others might have missed? Share that story. It shows you have a keen eye, and you're not willing to compromise on standards.
Absolutely. And don't be afraid to get a little technical. Talk about specific quality control measures or tools that you use. It shows you're not just going through the motions, you're actively engaged in ensuring top-notch quality.
Okay, now they might throw a curveball
hmm
and ask, "Have you ever had to reject a batch of fabric? What was the reason, and how did you handle it?" And it can feel a bit daunting to talk about a time when things didn't go perfectly.
Yeah, honesty's key here. But it's also about showing how you learn from challenges. Briefly explain the situation, the reason for the rejection, and then emphasize the steps you took to fix the problem and prevent it from happening again.
Yeah, it's not about never making mistakes. It's about showing that you're responsible, and you use those experiences to improve. All right, next question. How do you troubleshoot common issues with the weaving machine? It's almost like being a detective on the weaving floor, right?
Absolutely. Weaving machines, like any complex piece of equipment, can have their quirks. The interviewer is looking for your systematic approach to problem solving.
So what does that look like in practice?
Describe your process. Start with the most common issues, like yarn breaks or tension problems, and then walk them through how you logically narrow down the cause. Do you check for specific error codes, inspect the tension settings? Show them you have a methodical way of approaching these challenges.
It's like solving a puzzle. And it's even more impressive if you can mention, specific diagnostic tools
Yeah.
or techniques that you use. It shows you're not just guessing, you're taking a precise, informed approach.
Right. Now they might ask, what's the most challenging troubleshooting situation you've faced? And what did you learn from it? This is your chance to showcase your problem-solving skills in action.
I love that. It's about highlighting your resilience and your ability to learn. From even the toughest situations, speaking of tough situations, safety on the weaving floor is paramount. So it's almost guaranteed to last something like, how do you maintain a safe working environment while operating the weaving machine.
Yeah, and it's not enough to just rattle off generic safety rules here. You need to demonstrate your proactive commitment to safety.
So how do you make your answer stand out?
Think about specific protocols you follow. Maybe you always double-check safety guards before starting the machine. Or you're meticulous about lockout procedures during maintenance. And even better, share a story about a time you noticed a potential hazard and took steps to correct it.
I love that. So imagine you saw a frayed cable near the loom. You can say, I immediately reported the frayed cable to my supervisor and ensured that the area was cordoned off to prevent any accidents. It shows you're not just following rules, you're actively looking out for everyone's safety.
Exactly. It demonstrates responsibility and initiative. Now they might even ask, how do you stay up to date on the latest safety regulations in the weaving industry?
That's a great question. The world of safety is constantly evolving, so it's essential to stay informed. What are some ways you approach that?
It's all about continuous learning. So mention any industry journals you read, online resources you consult, or safety training courses you've taken. It shows you're committed to staying at the forefront of safety practices.
Okay, we've covered a lot about the technical side of things, but weaving floors can be super fast-paced. So how do you prepare for the question? How do you prioritize and manage your workload as a weaving machine operator?
Yeah, it's all about working smart and staying organized. Do you use to-do lists? Maybe a specific time management system? Or perhaps you prioritize tasks based on urgency and deadlines. Share what works for you.
I love those ideas. But let's say they follow up with, describe a time you had to juggle multiple production orders. How did you ensure everything was completed on time and to standard? What kind of story would really impress them?
Think of a time when you were under pressure to meet deadlines. Maybe there was a rush order for a specific type of fabric, and a delay would have disrupted the whole production line. Describe how you calmly assessed the situation, prioritized tasks, and worked efficiently to meet the deadline without sacrificing quality.
That's a perfect example. It shows you can handle pressure and deliver results even when things get hectic. Now, this next question is a classic, and it can sometimes trip people up. Can you tell us about a time when you had to troubleshoot a complex issue with the weaving machine? What's the key to nailing this one?
This is another one of those star moments. Situation, task, action, result. You need to choose a situation that was genuinely challenging. Maybe a time when you faced a recurring fabric defect that even experienced operators were struggling with.
Okay, I'm hooked. What happens next?
Walk them through your process step by step. How did you examine the machine settings? Did you analyze the yarn properties? Did you have to consult any technical manuals? Highlight your persistence and attention to detail.
It's about showing that you're a problem solver. Who doesn't give up easily? Now, what if you didn't find the solution immediately?
That's completely fine. The learning process is just as important as the solution itself. Explain how you collaborated with colleagues, tried different approaches, and ultimately pinpointed the root cause, maybe a tiny variation in yarn tension, or a worn guide wheel.
That's a great point. It shows you're a team player, and you're willing to learn from others. And they might even ask, how has that experience influenced your approach to troubleshooting? What are they getting at with that?
They want to see that you grow from your experiences. Did that challenging situation make you more methodical in your approach? More attentive to subtle details? Or maybe more proactive in documenting solutions to help others? Show them you're constantly evolving as a troubleshooter.
That's a fantastic way to frame it. It's about demonstrating that you're always learning and refining your skills. Now, weaving is rarely a solo job, right? So how do you prepare for the question? How do you collaborate with other team members to ensure a successful weaving process?
Teamwork is essential in any manufacturing environment. Here's where you showcase your ability to communicate effectively, listen actively, and be a supportive colleague.
Okay, I'm with you. But how do you go beyond just saying, I'm a team player?
Share a specific anecdote. Remember that time you noticed a colleague struggling with a complex warp setup, and you offered your assistance. Or maybe you collaborated with your team to implement a new process improvement that streamlined production.
Those are great examples. They paint a clear picture of your collaborative spirit. Now, the interviewer might follow up with, what role do you typically play on a team and why? What are they really asking here?
I think they're trying to gauge your self-awareness and your understanding of team dynamics. Are you the organizer? Are you the problem solver? The motivator? Think about your strengths and how you typically contribute to a team's success.
That makes sense. It's about showing that you understand your role and how you can add value to the team. Speaking of pressure, let's talk about the question. Can you describe a time when you had to work under pressure to meet a tight deadline? I know deadlines are a fact of life on the weaving floor. So how do you answer this in a way that really stands out?
This is your chance to showcase your ability to stay calm, focused, and deliver quality work, even when things get intense. So choose a story that really demonstrates those traits.
So, for example, you could talk about a time when there was a last-minute order for specialty fabric with like a super tight turnaround time. You could explain how you assessed the situation, communicated clearly with your team, and managed your time effectively to meet that deadline without, compromising quality.
That's a great example. It shows you can handle pressure and think on your feet. The interviewer might even follow up with, what strategies do you use to manage stress in a high-pressure environment?
That's a good one. I think everyone has their own ways of dealing with stress. What are some strategies that you find helpful?
It's all about finding what works for you. Some people find that taking a few deep breaths or stepping away from the situation for a moment can help them regain focus. Others rely on techniques like prioritizing tasks,
Yeah.
breaking down large projects into smaller steps, or setting realistic deadlines.
I love those suggestions. It's about showing that you have a plan for staying calm and productive, even when things get a little crazy. Now let's shift gears a bit and talk about the ever-changing world of textile technology. Interviewers often want to know, how do you stay up to date with new technologies and advancements in the weaving industry?
This is your chance to demonstrate your passion for the field and your commitment to continuous learning. So do you read industry journals, attend webinars, follow any textile blogs, share your go-to resources for staying in the know?
I love that. It shows you're intellectually curious, and you're always looking to expand your knowledge base. You could even mention a specific new technology that you're excited about, like maybe computer-controlled looms or sustainable textile innovations.
Exactly. It shows you're not just content with the status quo, you're actively engaged in the future of the industry. And speaking of the future, the interviewer might ask, what emerging technology in the weaving industry are you most interested in, and why?
This is your opportunity to really let your passion shine through. Are you fascinated by 3D weaving technology, the potential of nanomaterials in textile production? Share what excites you and how you see it shaping the future of weaving.
It's about demonstrating your vision
Yeah.
and your ability to connect those technological advancements to real-world applications. All right, let's dive into a question that really focuses on efficiency. How do you ensure the overall efficiency of the weaving process?
This one goes beyond just operating the machine. It's about understanding the entire weaving process from start to finish. How do you approach this kind of question?
It's all about optimization. Have you implemented systems for tracking yarn inventory to minimize downtime? Maybe you've reorganized the loom setup to speed up work changes? Or perhaps you've streamlined communication with your team to keep things running smoothly.
Those are fantastic examples. It's about showcasing your ability to identify areas for improvement and implement those improvements effectively. Now, they might ask for a specific example, like, can you give an example of a process improvement you implemented that led to increased efficiency or reduced waste?
Choose a story that highlights your problem-solving skills
Yeah.
and your proactive approach. Maybe you noticed a bottleneck in the production process, like misaligned weft threads causing delays. You could explain how you analyzed the issue, tested solutions, and ultimately implemented a simple adjustment to the guide mechanism that significantly reduced errors and increased efficiency.
That's a brilliant example. It shows you're not just following the instructions. You're thinking critically and taking initiative to improve the process. And I'm really curious about how RoleCatcher's career guides can help with career progression. Can you tell us more about that?
Absolutely. RoleCatcher's career guides provide like a roadmap for your weaving journey. They outline the typical responsibilities and skills needed for each stage, from entry level to senior operator and beyond. So having this knowledge can really help you set realistic goals and focus on developing the skills you need to advance.
That's so valuable. Imagine you're in the interview and the interviewer asks, where do you see yourself in 5 years? You can confidently say, I'm aiming to become a senior weaving machine operator, and I'm actively developing leadership and process improvement skills to reach that goal. It shows you're ambitious and you're thinking about the long term.
Exactly. It's about showcasing your commitment to growth and your understanding of the career path. And speaking of getting ahead, let's talk about how RoleCatcher's AI tools can be your secret weapon throughout the entire job search, not just the interview.
Yes, I'm really excited to learn more about this. It sounds like they've taken traditional career resources and made them like smarter and more personalized.
They have. Their platform is designed to give you an edge at every stage, from identifying the right opportunities to crafting a standout resume, and of course, acing those interviews.
Okay, let's break this down. So let's say you're searching for a weaving machine operator position, and you find one that looks like a perfect fit. But then you start to second guess yourself. Is your resume really strong enough? Does it highlight all the right skills?
That's where RoleCatcher's AI resume builder comes in. It analyzes the job description and compares it to your resume, highlighting any gaps or areas for improvement.
So if the job posting emphasizes experience with jacquard looms, and you haven't specifically mentioned that, RoleCatcher will flag it for you.
Exactly. It's like having a personal resume expert guiding you every step of the way. And it goes even further. RoleCatcher's AI can suggest specific phrases or keywords to add to your resume, based on the language used in the job description. So it's all about tailoring your resume to match what the hiring manager is looking for.
That's incredible. It takes the guesswork out of resume writing and helps you create a resume that's practically designed to get noticed.
Now imagine you've landed an interview. Congratulations. But those pre-interview jitters start to set in. How can you make sure you're fully prepared and ready to shine?
I know those nerves are totally normal. I think everyone gets them. So how does RoleCatcher help calm those nerves and boost confidence?
This is where RoleCatcher's AI interview practice tool shines. It's like having a mock interview with an expert, but in the comfort of your own home. So you select the job you're interviewing for, and RoleCatcher presents you with a series of sample questions, specifically tailored to that role. You then record yourself answering those questions, just like you would in a real interview.
Okay, that sounds really helpful already. But how does the AI actually come into play?
This is the really cool part. After you record your answers, RoleCatcher's AI analyzes your responses and gives you personalized feedback. It can pick up on things like verbal fillers, awkward pauses, or even a lack of eye contact. All those subtle things that can make a difference in an interview.
Wow, that's amazing. It's like having a coach who can pinpoint areas for improvement that you might not even be aware of.
Exactly. And you can practice as many times as you need until you feel totally confident and prepared. It's about removing the uncertainty and helping you present your best self. Now let's circle back to some of those sample interview questions and dig a little deeper into safety. We talked about how to answer. How do you maintain a safe working environment while operating the weaving machine? But what are some of the key points to hit when talking about safety protocols?
Yeah, safety is so important. So I'm glad we're revisiting this topic. It's not just about knowing the rules. It's about demonstrating a genuine commitment to a safe work environment. What are some specific things that you would recommend highlighting?
Start with the basics. Mention things like wearing appropriate PPE, safety glasses, hearing protection, steel-toed boots. It all matters. Talk about your commitment to lockout, tagout procedures during maintenance, making sure the machine is completely de-energized before you start working on it. And don't forget about regular machine inspections. Explain how you check for loose wires, frayed belts, or anything else that could pose a hazard.
I love those suggestions.
Yeah.
It shows you're not just passively following rules, you're actively engaged in preventing accidents. Now, what if they ask, how do you stay up to date on the latest safety regulations in the weaving industry?
That's a great opportunity to showcase your dedication to continuous learning in the area of safety. So mention any industry publications you read, safety training courses you've taken, or online resources you consult. To stay informed about the latest OSHA regulations or best practices.
Perfect. It shows you're not complacent. And you're always striving to improve your safety knowledge and practices. Now let's talk about another crucial aspect of working on the weaving floor. Managing your workload effectively. In a fast-paced, demanding environment, how would you approach the question? How do you prioritize and manage your workload as a weaving machine operator?
It's all about organization and efficiency. Do you use a to-do list, a scheduling app, maybe a Kanban board, whatever your system is? Explain how you assess the urgency and importance of tasks and allocate your time accordingly.
I love those ideas. And it makes a great impression if you can give like a specific example, right?
Absolutely. The interviewer might follow up with, describe a time you had to juggle multiple production orders. How did you ensure everything was completed on time and to standard? This is your chance to shine by sharing a story that demonstrates your ability to handle pressure and meet deadlines without sacrificing quality.
I'm imagining a scenario where you're facing multiple orders with like different fabric types, colors, and patterns, all with tight deadlines. How would you approach that kind of challenge?
Start by explaining how you carefully planned your workflow. Did you coordinate with team members to optimize machine setups and minimize downtime? Did you encounter any unexpected challenges, like machine malfunctions or material shortages? And most importantly, how did you overcome those challenges to ensure a smooth production flow and meet those deadlines?
That's a fantastic example. It highlights your ability to adapt to changing priorities, stay focused under pressure, and deliver those consistent, high-quality results that employers are looking for. Okay, let's shift gears for a moment and talk about continuous learning and professional development. We touched on this briefly when discussing safety, but it's a broader theme that interviewers are really interested in.
You're absolutely right. Employers want to see that you're passionate about your work and you're eager to learn and grow. That's why they often ask questions like, how do you stay up to date with new technologies and advancements in the weaving industry?
It's not just about having the skills you need for the job today. It's about demonstrating that you're committed to staying ahead of the curve and adapting to the ever-changing world of textile technology. What are some ways you stay current in the field?
There are so many great resources available. Attending industry conferences and trade shows is a fantastic way to network with other professionals and see the latest technologies and materials firsthand.
And I bet reading industry publications and online forums keeps you in the loop on emerging trends and innovations.
Exactly. And don't forget about online courses or workshops. There's a wealth of information available to help you expand your knowledge and skill set.
I love that. It shows you're proactive, and you're taking ownership of your professional development. Now the interviewer might get even more specific and ask, what emerging technology in the weaving industry are you most interested in, and why?
This is your chance to let your passion shine through. Maybe you're fascinated by the development of smart textiles that incorporate sensors and electronics, or perhaps you're excited about the potential of 3D weaving to create complex structures with unique properties. Whatever it is that sparks your interest, share it with enthusiasm and explain why it matters to you.
I love that idea. It's about showing that you're not just going through the motions. You're genuinely excited about the future of weaving, and you're eager to be a part of it. Now let's talk about a question that's all about optimizing the entire weaving process. How do you ensure the overall efficiency of the weaving process?
This one goes beyond just operating the machine efficiently. It's about understanding the entire workflow, from yarn preparation to fabric inspection, and identifying areas for improvement. Have you implemented a system for tracking yarn inventory to minimize downtime? Have you worked with your team to streamline communication and collaboration? Think about specific examples that showcase your ability to analyze the process and find ways to make it better.
Those are great examples. It shows you're a problem solver who's always looking for ways to optimize and improve. Now let's say the interviewer follows up with, can you give an example of a process improvement you implemented that led to increased efficiency or reduced waste? What kind of story would you tell?
Think about a time when you noticed a bottleneck in the production process. Maybe it was a frequent misalignment of weft threads that slowed down production. You could explain how you meticulously analyzed the problem, experimented with the different solutions, and finally implemented a simple adjustment to the guide mechanism that significantly reduced errors and boosted efficiency.
That's a perfect example. It shows you're not afraid to take initiative, think critically, and find solutions that make a real difference. Now let's shift gears a bit and talk about career goals and aspirations. Interviewers often ask questions like, where do you see yourself in 5 years? Or, what are your long-term career aspirations?
These questions are designed to gauge your ambition, your commitment to the field, and your ability to set goals and plan for the future. And remember, those career guides we talked about earlier can really help you articulate your aspirations in a meaningful way.
It's so important to show that you're not just looking for a job. You're looking to build a career. So what are some tips for answering these types of questions effectively?
Be specific. Don't just say, I want to advance in the company. Talk about specific roles you're interested in, maybe becoming a lead operator, a supervisor, or even a production manager. Or perhaps you're passionate about a particular area of weaving and you see yourself specializing in that. Whatever your goals may be, articulate them clearly and explain how you plan to achieve them.
That's such great advice. You could even mention specific steps you're already taking to reach your goals, like pursuing additional training or certifications, networking with industry professionals, or seeking out opportunities for professional development.
Exactly. It shows you're proactive and you're taking concrete steps to achieve your aspirations.
Now let's circle back to RoleCatcher and their amazing AI tools. We've talked about the resume builder and the interview practice tool, but are there any other AI-powered features that can help with the job search process?
Absolutely. RoleCatcher is all about using AI to personalize the job search and make it more effective. One of my favorite features is their job match tool. It uses your profile and preferences to recommend jobs that are a good fit for your skills and experience. It's like having a personal recruiter working behind the scenes to find the best opportunities for you.
Wow, that sounds like a game changer. It takes so much of the stress and guesswork out of the job search.
Exactly. And the beauty of it is that it's constantly learning and evolving.
Yeah.
The more you use it, the better it gets at understanding your needs and recommending relevant opportunities.
So whether you're just starting your job search or you're a seasoned professional looking for a change, RoleCatcher has something to offer. Their AI-powered tools can help you every step of the way, from finding the right opportunities to crafting a standout application and acing that interview.
They've truly revolutionized the job search process by combining the power of technology with the human touch.
All right, let's dive back into those sample interview questions. We've covered a lot of ground, but I want to make sure we touch on a few more that might come up.
Sounds good. Let's start with one that often catches people off guard. What are your salary expectations? It can be a bit tricky to navigate this one.
It can. No one wants to undersell themselves, but you also don't want to price yourself out of the running. So what's the best way to approach this question?
First and foremost, do your research. Use resources like RoleCatcher salary data or websites like Glassdoor or salary.com to get a sense of the typical salary range for weaving machine operators in your area with your level of experience.
That's a great starting point. It helps you set realistic expectations and avoid any surprises.
Once you have a good understanding of the market rate, you can frame your answer in a way that's both confident and flexible. You could say something like, based on my research and my experience, I'm targeting a salary range of X to Y. However, I'm open to discussing the specifics based on the overall compensation package and the opportunities for growth within the company.
That's a perfect balance of assertiveness and openness. It shows that you know your worth, but you're also willing to have a conversation. Now, what about the classic question? Tell me about your strengths and weaknesses.
Ah, yes, the strengths and weaknesses question. This one can feel a bit like a trap, but it's really an opportunity to showcase your self-awareness and your commitment to growth.
So how do you talk about your strengths without sounding arrogant?
Focus on strengths that are relevant to the role and back them up with concrete examples. For instance, you could say, one of my strengths is my attention to detail. In my previous role, I was responsible for quality control, and I consistently exceeded expectations by identifying and resolving even the most subtle defects.
That's a great example. It shows you're not just throwing out buzzwords. You're providing evidence to support your claims. Now, the weaknesses part can feel a bit trickier. No one wants to highlight their flaws, right?
Right, but it's important to approach this part authentically. Don't try to disguise a strength as a weakness, like saying, I'm a perfectionist. Instead, choose a real area for improvement and explain how you're actively working to address it.
For example, you could say, I sometimes struggle with public speaking, but I've recently joined Toastmasters to improve my communication skills and build my confidence.
That's a perfect example. It shows you're self-aware and you're taking proactive steps to grow. Now let's talk about a question that's all about demonstrating your problem-solving skills. Can you describe a time when you had to deal with a difficult customer or colleague?
Conflict resolution is a valuable skill in any workplace, so I'm sure this one comes up often. What are some tips for answering it effectively?
The key here is to focus on the process, not the person. So avoid bad-mouthing anyone or placing blame. Instead, describe the situation objectively. Explain the steps you took to resolve the issue, and highlight the positive outcome.
For instance, you could say, I once had a colleague who was consistently late with their part of a project, which was causing delays for the entire team. I approached them privately to discuss the issue, listen to their perspective, and work together to find a solution that addressed their challenges while ensuring we met our deadlines.
That's a great example. It shows you're a team player, you can communicate effectively, and you're able to find win-win solutions.
All right, one last question that often pops up towards the end of an interview. Do you have any questions for us? I know it can be tempting to just say, no, I think you've covered everything, but what's the better approach?
This is your chance to show your genuine interest in the company and the role. So prepare a few thoughtful questions beforehand that demonstrate your curiosity and your eagerness to learn more.
What are some examples of good questions to ask?
You could ask about the company's culture, their vision for the future, the team you'd be working with, or the opportunities for professional development. Avoid asking questions that are easily answered with a quick Google search, like the company's history or their product line. Focus on questions that show you've done your homework and you're genuinely interested in the specific opportunity.
That's such great advice. Asking thoughtful questions shows that you're engaged. And you're thinking beyond just getting the job. It's about finding the right fit and ensuring that the role aligns with your goals and aspirations.
Exactly. The interview process is a two-way street. It's about them getting to know you and you getting to know them. So take the time to prepare those questions and show them that you're as invested in the opportunity as they are.
Now, I know we've covered a lot of ground in this deep dive, but I feel so much more confident and prepared for my weaving machine operator interview. Thank you so much for sharing your expertise.
You're very welcome. It's been my pleasure. And remember, you've got this. With a little preparation and a lot of confidence, you'll be weaving your way to success in no time.
Okay, so I feel like we've covered so much,
Yeah.
and I have like a much better understanding of how to approach these questions.
It's all about preparation and practice.
Yeah.
The more you familiarize yourself with these common questions and think through your responses, the more confident you'll feel when you're actually in that interview.
Absolutely. And speaking of practice, RoleCatcher's AI interview practice tool is like a game changer. It's like having a personal coach who can give you feedback on your answers, your delivery, even your body language.
It takes the guesswork out of interview prep and helps you identify areas for improvement that you might not even be aware of. You can practice as many times as you need until you feel totally confident and ready to shine.
Now, before we wrap up, I want to circle back to something we touched on earlier, highlighting those unique skills and experiences that really set you apart from other candidates.
Yes, that's so important. It's about showcasing your individual strengths and what makes you a valuable asset to their team.
So let's say you have a passion for sustainable textiles. You could talk about how you've researched eco-friendly dyeing techniques, or how you're committed to minimizing waste in the production process.
Exactly. Or maybe you have experience with a specific type of loom that's in high demand. Don't be afraid to showcase that specialized knowledge.
And if you have a knack for like troubleshooting those tricky mechanical issues, definitely highlight those problem-solving skills.
It's all about finding those unique threads that make you stand out from the crowd and weaving them into your answers.
I love that analogy. It's like creating your own signature fabric, something that's uniquely you.
Exactly. And remember, the interview is your chance to tell your story, showcase your passion, and demonstrate why you're the perfect fit for the role.
This has been such an insightful deep dive. Thank you so much for sharing your expertise. I feel so much more prepared to tackle my weaving machine operator interview.
You're very welcome. It's been my pleasure. And remember, you've got this. With a little preparation and a lot of confidence, you'll be weaving your way to success in no time.
To all of you listening, I hope this deep dive has given you the tools and insights you need to land that dream job. Remember, RoleCatcher is an incredible resource that can help you every step of the way. So check them out. Utilize those AI tools and go out there and shine